Years ago, my friends and I decided to go camping for a weekend. We ventured deep into the forest and set up our camp in an isolated area. The first 2 nights were uneventful. We lit a campfire, sang songs, stargazed, and had a great time. However, on the third night, the weather suddenly turned cold, and a strong windstorm began. The wind howled through the forest in a terrifying way, sending shivers down our spines. That night, something felt different, and we had an eerie sense of impending danger. Our dreams that night were disturbing. We all had nightmares of chasing and being pursued by horrifying, monstrous creatures. When we woke up, the atmosphere still felt tensy, and everyone was on edge. The next morning, as we inspected our surroundings, we found strange tracks outside our tents. There were faint footprints and bizarre symbols etched into the ground. These tracks were the evidence we needed to understand that someone or something had approached us. Shortly after, we heard strange noises coming from the depths of the forest. These sounds resembled a deep rumbling and sent shivers down our spines. We felt as if danger was closing in on us with every passing moment. Suddenly, from deep within the forest, we heard a bone-chilling scream. In a panic, my friends and I quickly packed up our things and attempted to leave the forest. However, the screams and rumbling sounds from the forest were closing in on us. Lost in a state of panic, we stumbled through the forest, and our path and tracks vanished. Throughout the night, we remained lost in the forest, constantly hearing eerie cries and strange sounds. With the first light of dawn, we finally managed to find our way out of the forest. However, one of our friends was still missing. We called the police and requested help to find our missing friend. Yet we couldn't explain what had occurred in the forest or why this terrifying experience had happened. We never found our missing friend, and we never wanted to return to that place. After the incident, we all started having strange nightmares, and we could never forget that horrifying night. This experience haunted us throughout our lives, and we were never able to unravel the mysteries of the forest. Following that event, we decided to stop camping altogether. Each of us avoided thinking about that dreadful night and our missing friend. But as time went by, the desire to find our lost friend and uncover the truth became overwhelming. Several months later, the longing to solve this mystery led us back to the forest. Prepared, we embarked on the journey again. Upon our return, the forest was eerily silent, and the tracks were still there. This time, the tracks were more distinct and led us deeper into the forest. We began to hear strange sounds again. Finally, the tracks led us to our missing friend's tent. But when we entered the tent, it was empty. The trail of our lost friend had once again vanished. We conducted a thorough search, but found no trace or evidence. As night fell, we heard those eerie sounds from the forest again. The terrifying screams, rumblings, and whispers had returned. This time, we could hear them more clearly, and we knew something was watching us, much closer. In a state of panic, we tried to leave the forest again, but we lost our way once more. The tracks disappeared, and we rushed through the forest. It was like reliving that horrifying night, and our focus shifted from finding our lost friend to simply staying alive. After hours of fear and being lost, we finally made it out of the forest again. However, we still couldn't find our missing friend. The mysteries of the forest remained unsolved, and these enigmas continued to haunt us. Throughout our lives, we were never able to understand the horrifying experience and the fate of our lost friend. The secrets of that forest remained elusive, and the incident was an ever-present nightmare. This true horror story continued to haunt us, with questions left unanswered. Years passed, but the haunting memory of that night and the fate of our lost friend still lingered. Although we had moved to different cities and carried on with our lives, we couldn't forget those experiences. Every time we thought about that night, it sent shivers down our spines, and the desire to uncover the forest's mysteries still burned within us. A few years later, we decided to meet with our lost friend's family and other friends. We all still carried the effects of that night. Together, we resolved to return to the forest and solve the mystery. Upon arriving in the forest, it was still quiet, and the tracks were intact. This time, we needed to conduct more extensive investigations. The tracks led us back to our missing friend's tent, and we meticulously examined the surroundings. As we delved deeper into the investigation, we discovered an old journal buried under the ground beneath the tent. The journal's pages were dry but still legible. It contained records of a traveler and described our missing friend's last appearance. One of the pages in the journal detailed how our missing friend had received a letter from a stranger before agreeing to go into the forest that night. The letter mysteriously explained the origin of the strange sounds and whispers that had occurred that night. According to the letter, an ancient community lived deep within the forest, and they had visited our campsite that night. This community conducted traditional ceremonies and had included our missing friend in their rituals. Yet, there was no further information regarding what had occurred or why our friend had not returned. After examining the journal, we realized that we needed to understand this mysterious community and the events of that night better. However, the dangers and enigmas of the forest continued to create more questions than answers. From that day forward, we were determined to solve the mystery. We decided to further explore the forest and follow the traces of this mysterious community. But it was clear that the forest's depths still held many secrets and dangers. The events remained a part of our lives, and perhaps one day, we would uncover the mysteries of the forest and learn the fate of our missing friend. But for now, the forest's enigmas continued to frighten us, and the memories played over in our dreams. Subscribe for more horror stories. Stay scared.